So hi, my name is Carolyn, and I serve as one of the ministers at Orleans United Church. And Orleans United Church is one of the faith sites for the Healthy End of Life project. I've been asked to just do a quick overview of what was the process in bringing this grief walk group together. And so this is where I'm talking to fellow clergy or fellow faith leaders. And so what I will say to you is that the absolute most important thing that I did, or that I felt my role was to hold space. So when somebody on the help team came to me and said, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we have a grief group or a grief walk group? I said, okay. And I'd never done that before. Not saying okay. What I mean is I'd never led a grief walk before, per se. So I said yes, and then the Spirit showed up, and I knew what to do each step along the way. One of the first things I did was to visit Singing Pebble Books here in Ottawa and talk with the staff there. They have an excellent section on grief at that particular bookstore. And somebody there directed me towards this gem of a book called The Wild Edge of Sorrow. And the author is Francis Weller, who is a psychotherapist in private practice. He talks in this book about the 5 gates of grief. And as soon as I saw that, what popped into my head was an outline for a 6-week group, 1 gate per week with a time for closure at the end. And so that is exactly what we've done. And so week by week, we have passed through the various gates of grief using Weller's book as our guide. And our other guide on this journey was the poet Mary Oliver. And what I would do in preparation for each week is I would go through this anthology of poems and literally do that thing you do where you open and generally pick the very first one that you open to, trusting again that I had been led to the right words for the right moment and the right week. And then each week I gathered the participants around the circle, in this case, all women. We set up group norms. We covenanted at the beginning of our time together. And we began to introduce, or I introduced, one of Weller's rituals, which we enacted every single week, so that every week it became a little bit more embodied, a little bit more familiar. And now I think they could probably do it without my having to explain anything. It's been a simple process. Trusting the Spirit has been important. Holding the space has been important. Keeping it simple, repeating some of the same things over and over again have all worked wonders. And I have been available to hear reports in between sessions on Mondays, which is when we were walking, of how the work was working in each of these women in between our meeting times. And some weeks we would walk for 10 minutes, and other weeks we would walk for 25 minutes, partly depending on what we were focusing on that week and partly depending on the weather. If you are considering doing this, I would say it is very important. It is very deep and profound work. It is an honor to be able to hold this space, and the participants find it meaningful. There's not a lot of planning. It doesn't take a lot of work. It just takes presence. So, blessings to you as you seek to put a group like this together. Do so, trusting that the Spirit will lead you in the way you need to go.